Preston Perez swept Show 1 in Butler, but the rest of the field is not likely to lay back and watch the black and green machine run away with the hardware. Up next, the Overdrive monster trucks do battle by twilight. Nestled in the beautiful farmlands of western Pennsylvania, the Butler Farm Show is home to Round 7, Show 2 of the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour for 2023. And again, just a kickoff season for this awesome series here in a place that was once referred to as part of the Steel Belt of America, still is by many, and host to 4 of the biggest machines in motorsports this weekend. If you saw our coverage of Show 1, you know these guys laid it down here this afternoon. This is Show 2, and there's some scores that some of these guys are hoping to settle. Cliff Fowl, 4 races in a row, has been bested by Preston Perez. And Virginia Giant here, he does not want to let that happen again, with Preston doing battle with him in Toxic. Then the Seasock brothers, not wanting to be outdone. Here you see Kyle Seasock about to open up our Stunt Showdown competition. We're getting right to it. See, they tuned up those race ramps on the backside. We're going to get probably a little more vertical air out of those machines. Kyle Seasock here in Aftershock. Rookie season behind the wheel, looking better and better every time out. He and his brother are not willing to lay down and let this be the Toxic Showcase or the Toxic Virginia Giant Show this weekend. These guys are out of Pennsylvania. This is their home state, and they want to prove that they're capable of running right alongside the rest of the Overdrive monster trucks as Kyle Seasock wraps up a solid effort here in Aftershock. Looking good as the sun sets behind the main grandstands. Another look at that first hit. Again, much more vertical air there. It looks like Sean Baker and crew went out there and retooled those ramps a little bit, and it's working for him. The score coming in for Kyle Seasock, a 17 here in skills competition, the Stunt Showdown, as our next competitor gets ready to roll out. You're looking over the back of J.R. Seasock's tow truck from down the road in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. We'll see him in just a moment. Here's Cliff Fowl out of Fairfax, Virginia, looking awesome in Virginia Giant. Classic sky wheelie for the big bull nose out of the Old Dominion. We do know when they prepped the dirt pre-show for Show 1, it was very tacky. It looks like it's kind of coming around right now. An easy hit for him right there. Cliff may have given away a little bit of something, just feeling it out, but he took the top off of that ramp. I don't know if he meant to do that. Now feeling out the race lane a little bit. That tends to be his calling card. Throws down his 2 moves and then takes a shot to see what the race lanes are going to give him when he gets into racing competition in just a little bit. Looking at that first hit, that was a great classic sky wheelie from Virginia Giant, and chasing the 17, he will take the lead. A score of 19 for Cliff Fowl out of Fairfax, Virginia. Now, the Seasock brothers, the gentlemen out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, driving this chassis out of Ware, New Hampshire, with the identity that Seasock created, playing Hookie. Nicely done. I don't think it's going to be a takeover, but looking strong as you ride on the boom of this massive tow truck out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Seasock with some big things coming in 2024, and can't wait to see what he's got when he gets everything set for the new year. Giving up a little bit in the wheelie competition, in the Stunt Showdown, I should say. Want a little more vert out of it, but I'm interested to see what he's concentrating on here, because his attitude is certainly not to give up a victory here tonight. That was was a good move to open up that Stunt Showdown for him, but I can tell you right now, this guy is ready to keep Preston Perez from picking up another clean sweep. He's not going to do it with that run, so we'll keep an eye on it as things roll on here, as our clean sweeper from earlier this afternoon rolls out. Preston Perez in Toxic, picking up right where he left off. Center bound for Toxic. Patrick Chassis Machine out of Frederick, Maryland, being driven by the gentleman out of Spokane, Washington. One of the guys from the West came out east and started really making a name for himself. And looks like he's headed over here to this K-Rail. He's been the only one this weekend that has hit two-wheel moves off of this K-Rail. You can see him getting lined up from there in the cockpit. No windshield on this truck for a while now. He's definitely tortured it this year. We've seen it on its top out in Princeton, Illinois. In fact, he rolled this thing over backwards, attempting to make a stoppie into a popper, and it didn't go the way he hoped it would, but he still managed to pick up a win out of that move. Here, though, I don't think he's going to make that same mistake. Nope, got in between the obstacle and the wall, but that's why they don't want anybody standing over on that portion of the track. Got that official there keeping anybody from walking down the fence line. Solid run for Preston Perez. He opens up strong with Toxic. We'll see what his score is. A 22 for Perez coming down the bike right now. That means he will open up with another victory here in Butler.
Nice to see you again.
Preston, we saw you go for a move that no one else here in the competition went for when you went for that stoppie, and then also got it into reverse into a moonwalk. Tell us, what kind of skill does that take behind a 12,000-pound beast?
Just a lot of practice, a lot of experience. Last year did a stadium tour on Monster Jam, so I credit a lot of it to that. But you know what? Stiff competition out here. We did a clean sweep earlier this afternoon, but it's not going to be so easy. That Virginia Giant truck in the finals was fast, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to snake by this time, but it'll be good.
Well, we are just getting underway with the Stunt Showdown. Stay with us. It's about to get wild.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. Stay up to date with photos, videos, event info, and more at monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For an inside look at the monster truck phenomenon, check out Crush This, a monster truck podcast.
There's only one place in the world you can find this much old school cool. Freedom Racing Monster Trucks. The home of Cyclops and Unnamed and Untamed. Get yourself a limited edition toy at freedomracingmt.com.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army, the place to get your motorsports fix.
Welcome back to the Butler Farm Show here in Butler, Pennsylvania. The Overdrive Outlaws, the tough trucks, coming to the line for qualifying. They will run one at a time here, and we will seed them into a bracket. First up, Zachary Graybill in Twisted Metal out of Quarryville, Pennsylvania. That one-handed driving style, hanging on to that roll cage. See that little loop up above him? That is how he likes to drive, working the track with the left hand. Now he's got both hands on the wheel. I'd have to say the bite is still there. Interested now, as quick as they will probably go in this event, if we will see any of these guys on their top. We definitely saw some high sides in the last one. Look at that, a 32.02. He was flying not far off one of the faster times we saw. In fact, not far off the fastest time we saw that was laid down by Leon Hostetter in qualifying earlier this afternoon. Now, out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Josh Johnson, the mistress. A Jeep he actually bought back from a person he sold it to after he destroyed what was a nice new Jeep at the end of the 2021 season, smashed it into a concrete wall, center punched it, and his trailer mate did the same thing, but somehow that Jeep is still out here running around. That's Josh Funk's machine that we'll see in just a little bit, but right now, though, trying to lay down a shot. 31-21 to take the #1 spot. As Josh Funk now, who I was just talking about, rolls out in the Young Gun. He is ready to roll out, and you see, all right, we are now getting word that is actually getting Bernard, the promoter, at the wheel of Funk's Young Gun. Let's see what he can do with it. Rounding the first corner in good shape. Looking solid so far. Headed into the final leg. Nicely done. Funk had trouble there in the afternoon event. Now into the final turn inside. Across the finish line, 32.99. Not going to take him to the top spot, but a great run. And he has to be happy with that thing staying on all fours mostly. This time around is David Pilichowski now. Out of York, Pennsylvania, the only pickup in the field. Flip side, hopefully won't live up to that name. In fact, he might be better off. The name comes from back when he ran his short wheelbase Bronco 2. And he definitely saw a lot of dirt with the roof in that thing. Look at him work the track there all the way out over by that wall. He almost got into the K-rail. The Little Red Ranger out of York. Problem right there, he got into the bottom of that freestyle obstacle, slowed him down. 31.94 though with the problem he had. A great run for Flipside. And Corey Pappas now out of Fawn Grove rolls to the starting line. Little maroon Jeep Keystone State machine. Pappas, who we've seen in a bunch of different vehicles over the years, really kind of got famous on our coverage running a bright yellow machine that he put into a couple of guardrails, ripped the rear hatch off of it, kept reattaching it and dropping it. We saw that hatch get left on a couple of front stretches over the last few years, and he ran a Ford Ranger last year. Now in this machine, looking quick. Pappas, another guy we've seen win some awesome competitions over the years. 31.92 for Pappas. Again, running in the upper echelon, but not going to take the top spot. As Bent Bolt Mike Cunningham Jr. rolls out. We'll see Mike Cunningham Sr. here in just a moment out of Carrollton, Ohio here. Mike Jr. rolling on high sides. That is the one Jeep I didn't think we'd see high side, and he found a sticky spot over there. So it's definitely possible for anybody. Let's see as he goes hard into the final leg. Bouncy run for the free-floating front end. Working the track hard. It definitely didn't make him gun-shy. As the RPM Racing Bent Bolt rolls across the finish line, 36 flat on that one. Coming to a stop. They had a little trouble shutting down going out the fence. Giving Andy Ullum a little scare. We'll watch it again. Look at the front wheel jostle around. Nice driving job. Didn't oversteer it. Just got it back in line. Got out there on that grass, but he didn't go so wide that it took him out of the track so far. He had to back up. Now as a guy, man, you talk about Jeeps that between this guy and Josh Funk, that they've been able to keep these machines on the track. Here's another thing. The hood on that thing, the front clip, everything has had to have been replaced because I swear, oh, look at this. He's on two wheels. Kept it on the ground, though. And they are testing it more and more every single time. 31-30 for the Show 1 winner, Leon Hostetter, in the chaotic racing entry. And again, I was saying, he and Josh Funk keep putting these Jeeps back together and back together. And supposed to be something, I believe, like 3,200 welds in an XJ when it's built stock. they've got to be doubled or tripled in these two guys' Jeeps, because those two things have been put through absolute torture over the years, and they keep coming back. Now, one of the cleanest looking race machines out here, a guy who certainly values his equipment. I'm not saying anything about the other guys, but Mike Cunningham Sr. definitely likes to keep this thing shiny side up. The Squiggle Dread Loose Nut out of East Liverpool, Ohio. Cunningham, one of the two Buckeyes in the field, working the track nicely. Made a mistake in round one of show one, got himself DQ'd. See if he avoids making that mistake here. 33-39, looking a lot better this time around as he gets himself in the field, but it was a much quicker field this time than it was show one. You can see the Cunninghams on the bottom of things. Junior ended up at the bottom after he high-sided the truck. Leon Hostetter somehow, even with a high-side hung in there, was Johnson, Hostetter, Pappas, Pilichowski, Graybeal, Funk, and the Cunninghams rounding out the 8-truck field. We are going back to Monster Trucks with the qualifying round action when we return to the Butler Farm Show here in Western Pennsylvania. Stay with us. More with the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour in a moment. Track crew laying down the lines, getting ready for the qualifying round of the Overdrive Monster Trucks. I'm going to bring Bucket back to the starting line in Aftershock, gentleman out of Frackville, Pennsylvania. Again, rookie year behind the wheel of a monster truck. And the first event we saw him compete in was not his first event, but Dublin, Virginia. He was really brand new to the wheel of a monster truck and had very little time behind the wheel. And in a very short time, he seems to have gained a lot of confidence. We'll see how he does here. He was impressive in racing action earlier this afternoon. Let's see what he's got here in qualifying round number 2. Hurt his time a little bit there off the starting line at 5:69. Not what he was looking for, but you saw him pedal it, pulled the front end out. I think he could have power wheelied that thing if he had really stood in it. Look at him pick the front end up. Again, the bike is there on the starting line. Wisely backed out of it, though. It's just a qualifying run. If you give it up here, you can gain it back in racing. I know he would have liked to have done better, but didn't overdrive the truck. Up next now, Cliff Fowle out of Fairfax, Virginia, heading to the line as the sun is just about to disappear behind the foothills over there. Let's see what Cliff has in the field. Also pulls the front end out. Same thing happened to him earlier this afternoon at 4:28. He got back into the throttle quicker than did Seasock, but still pulling the front end up on the starting line. Look at this. Same thing, as I said, happened to him this afternoon, and when it does, it tends to shoot the truck over to the right. He'll counter steer it, and it'll cause him problems in no man's land. But he was impressive, as he always is this afternoon. I know he'd like to knock down Preston Perez, who keeps knocking him out of racing. We'll see if he can do that here this evening. Now, J.R. Seasock out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, in playing Hookie. The concentration ready to roll off the starting line. That was a hard qualifying pass. Look at that, a 4:14. He looked possessed on that run. Look at him out of the hole. Look at him, head down. That was a nice start. Kept that thing perfectly straight. That was not a conservative run by any means. He came to play here tonight. Felt like he might have gotten a bad call in the first show. Went back and looked at it. It wasn't a bad call. But he is not about to let any of his competitors slip by him here at show number 2. What a qualifying pass for the big tow truck out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, playing hooky. Lights flashing, boom rays, and we got to take that ride with him right there now as Toxic rolls out. Preston Perez has to beat a 4:14. He has been so quick here today, but J.R. Seasock may have just laid down the law. Beautiful pass, but I don't think it was that 4:15. Look at that, 100th of a second for Preston Perez in Toxic. So you can see it's playing hooky up on top at a 4:14, then Toxic 4:15, Virginia Giant and Aftershock rounding out the field. We will see in a moment how these guys seed when we come back for side-by-side monster truck racing with the Overdrive monster trucks here at the Butler Farm Show.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. We're at the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter.
Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo.
Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
Welcome back to the Butler Farm Show in Butler, Pennsylvania now for side-by-side monster truck racing action. And I told you, Cliff Vowell wants a shot at Preston Perez after being beaten by him 4 straight line races on the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour, and they are ready to go toe-to-toe in front of the crowd here in Butler. Cliff Vowell trying to psych out the competition. Toxic and Virginia Giant seeding into that first race pairing, the first heat of round 1, single elimination race bracket, and then the brothers, Aftershock and Playing Hookie, will go at it for supremacy here in Butler, Pennsylvania as we line up our first pairing. This should be some very intense racing because there's some rivalries taking place here. If any pairing that you see this weekend, there is a little bit of a story behind, and this one there's certainly a story behind as Perez and Vowell take one more shot at each other, the 5th straight shot they've had. Can Cliff Vowell finally get the monkey off his back and take care of Preston Perez here in Butler? He's in a lane he'd prefer to be in. Let's see if he can make it work for him. I don't know. That was very, very close. Still don't have a winner on that one. Super tight racing between those two. We saw that earlier, and Vowell edged out J.R. Seasock at the afternoon show with a run that was about that close. Perez, and he was on a killer pass over there. Did Vowell outdrive him? Still waiting to find out who the winner was. You see our shot there, not quite on the finish line, but look at that. Vowell gets the nod, 100th of a second faster than Toxic was in that round. And check this out. Those times were 1 200th of a second faster than was J.R. Seasock's qualifying run. So we've definitely sped up as the sun's gone down, and when the temperatures cool off, these big blower motors tend to make just a little bit more horsepower. Definitely using it to their advantage. A little toe-to-toe psych job right there. Good to see, by the way, Kyle Seasock taking a shot now at his brother. I have a feeling this race might be closer than some people would imagine it would be. J.R. Seasock, though, definitely came to play here tonight. He's very, very serious. We talked to him during the break about getting a racing victory here. He really wanted a shot at Preston Perez. I do know that. He's not going to get it. He's going to have to take a shot first at Kyle Seasock, but I don't think he's going to give him an easy run in this pass right here. It could be either one of these guys, but then they're going to have to contend with that big Hemi horsepower of Cliff Fowle. Whichever one of the Seasock brothers gets out of this first round bracket alive, this should be a good race. We will see right here as Aftershock and Playing Hookie go to war here in round one. Seasock versus Seasock. Oh boy, did Bucky give him a run. What a race. 4:19 for Playing Hookie. Still in the ballpark, but he slowed down a bit of 4:25 for Aftershock as J.R. Seasock brings it around to go back to the starting line. He'll have to go back at it immediately. They're going to let him shut down once he gets over there and cool off, but watch it again. Look at J.R. Seasock get the truck on the ground and go, but look at Kyle Seasock trying to run him down. I don't know if the track had been a little longer, maybe another jump. He may have had a shot at him right there. Take nothing away from either of those guys. That was just straight up good racing. J.R. Seasock not happy about the results of this afternoon's competition, felt that he let a little too much go. And I do have to mention, he had an issue with his shifter in that earlier competition while racing. This guy right here, this is a guy that JR absolutely wants another shot at because he felt like he robbed himself. And we will see now if he can take his shot at him. Cliff Fowle, though, been waiting for a racing victory on this tour. Finally got around Preston Perez, but it was super, super close, man. I am glad I am not the line judge here tonight because this is some very, very tight racing. J.R. Seasock in Playing Hookie now, coming to the line, ready to go, trying to take a win in front of the home state folks against the ultimate representative of the Old Dominion, the Virginia Giant now, the Keystone Crusher and the Old Dominion legend going at it in the final. Cliff with that same bobble, and the victory will go to Playing Hookie in a 4:07. The fastest time of the weekend. Takes the top spot in side-by-side Overdrive Monster Truck Racing. What an incredible bracket this has been here this weekend. I don't think he could have asked for better racing. Look at Val launch sideways even. Got on the throttle. He knew he was going to have to lay one down to take out the big Chevy tow truck. Didn't quite have enough for him, but take nothing away from Val. He made JR work for that run. And JR with a well-deserved victory. Coming out to the cheers of the home state crowd. This one had to mean a lot to one of the Keystone Killers, one of the second-generation drivers, making a name for himself, showing that he came to play in the shopmetal.com Playing Hookie.
JR, you are our racing champion today. What do you think it took to not only knock off your brother, but knock off a strong competitor like Cliff Fowle in the final round of racing?
You know, the trucks that the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour brings out each and every time they come to a venue brings the top trucks in the country. Cliff, Preston, my brother, they're no slouches. Any one of them guys can take a win anywhere in the country. So to get this win is a huge honor. It's a lot of luck and a lot of skill, too, at the same time.
Give it up for J.R. Seasock and Playing Hookie!
I wanted that so bad.
Reminiscent of old Steve Wilkie there at the end. I'll tell you what, it may be only 4 trucks, it may be a short track, but that win had to mean a lot to that gentleman right there. Right in front of the home state folks, the Seasock brothers came to play tonight. When we come back, the Overdrive Outlaws hit the track here in Butler. sun has gone down, but we still got a little light in the sky. The track lights are on, and we are ready to go with the Overdrive Outlaws. Single elimination bracket racing. There you see Josh Johnson will take on Mike Cunningham Jr. They're rolling out there in the background. You see Corey Pappas going after David Pilichowski. We saw that race earlier at the afternoon event, round one. That was a good one. It'll be Josh Funk taking on Zachary Graybeal and Mike Cunningham Sr. against the wild man Leon Hostetter out of Palmyra. So it will be the Mistress versus Bent Bolt. Johnson Mistress on this side. What a start for Josh Johnson. Remember, Cunningham high-sided in qualifying. Will he have that problem again? Look at him door to door as they head for the final leg. Have to remember which turn you go after. Again, if you didn't see our coverage before, if you start on the outside lane, if you start on the grandstand side, you have to make the turn on the side nearest our cameras. If you start on the side nearest our cameras, you have to make the turn to the grandstand side, and that has definitely confused a couple guys here. You've seen them kind of jostle to make sure they go the right way at the end. Josh Johnson, though, will pick up the victory. A solid race with Mike Cunningham, but he kind of blew him away there at the end. I know Cunningham wanted to give him a little more than that before he put it on the trailer. Here tonight, you see the concentration, the eyes of David Pilichowski as he takes on Corey Pappas. Pappas digging with that right front when he came into the turn. Luckily, he did not high side that thing. He would have rolled right into David Pilichowski. Now, as they cross paths, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Both of them made a move over the monster truck roller. Can Pilichowski use the inside to counter? Comes out in front, and he will hang on to it. The little Red Ranger called Flipside will move on into the semifinal round, and now the best looking ugly truck on the premises with the little blue oval on the front of the XJ there. That is the Young Gun against Zachary Graybeal in Twisted Metal. A name probably more befitting of the man who just high-sided again. Young Gun almost on its top for the third time here tonight. Hits a barrel there. He's out of this one. I don't think there's any way he can catch up to Zachary Graybeal. He's digging, though. He's trying to. Made up a lot more ground than I thought he would. What a run for those two. I'll tell you what, if Funk hadn't high-sided, he would have been right there in that program because he was tight on the heels of Twisted Metal and Zachary Graybeal. Now, two bright orange machines. One much cleaner looking than the other. Mike Cunningham Sr. and Leon Hostetter in the Chaotic Racing entry. Loose Nut, and hopefully Loose Nut won't look like Chaotic Racing at the end of the night. I can't say much about Leon because he's carrying the colors for Back Channel Productions here this weekend. I would appreciate that, but he is on a roll here this weekend, and hopefully he'll be able to keep it shiny side up and rubber side down. You see Cunningham trying to catch up to him. At this point, it's not going to work, though. Cunningham, nice and consistent run, but it's just not enough at this point to catch up with the likes of Leon Hostetter, who will come back around here in just a moment for a semifinal round action. The fans absolutely loving the Overdrive Outlaws. As take a look at the bracket heading on into the semifinal round. Josh Johnson will take on David Pilichowski. Then it will be Zachary Graybeal against Leon Hostetter, and two guys that we've seen trade paint in the past. This could be an interesting bracket right here because nobody left in this semifinal round is going to give up anything. Glowing red lights of Flipside. David Pilichowski ready to go. Josh Johnson already up on the RPM. Pilichowski with a little hole shot, but it didn't do him much good. has that inside track the first run around. He needs to get away from Josh Johnson here. He'll have the left-hand turn coming into this final leg. Pilichowski digging right now on flip side, trying to get away from Johnson. Johnson is stuck to him right now, and this is going to be a dash to the finish. Josh Johnson picking up a close one. What a race those guys just put on now as Leon Hostetter rolls out the chaotic racing entry alongside Zachary Graybeal. Graybeal in Twisted Metal, Hostetter in chaotic racing. Inside corner for Hostetter. Working his way around. He just went the wrong way. He just went the wrong way. Leon Hostetter just DQ'd. I'm positive of it. I don't know what Graybeal did because that had to confuse him just a bit. But Hostetter was supposed to turn toward us. He went toward the barns back there. And now he's coming back toward the line. I think he thinks he's in the championship race. All right, they're pointing him back over toward the pit area. I'm not sure what's going on here right now. I'm not sure if they're going to give it to him. I didn't see what Graybeal did when he made the wrong turn. We were looking only at Leon's truck, so it may depend on what Zachary Graybeal did. Are they going to make them rerun this race? Was it a double DQ? We see Hostetter going back to the line. Josh Johnson heads out that way. Okay, we see the track official intercepting Hostetter right now. We're going to watch this again, and I'll explain. You can see again, Hostetter starting on that lane, what was the inside lane closest to the crowd. When you come out, he needs to make a left-hand turn. He does not. He makes a right. Now, what does Graybeal do? Graybeal righteously follows him in there, so it was a legal run for Graybeal. And it will be a DQ for Leon Hostetter. He knows he committed an infraction. He's going to accept it, head back to the pits, put it on the trailer. Unfortunately, it will not be a 2-for-2 for the little orange Jeep out of Palmyra. But this guy just waiting on the call. He had to know that there was a chance he was coming back to the line because he made that turn toward the grandstands like he was supposed to. He did not let Hostetter's mistake push him into making a mistake and potentially have to come back and rerun it with Hostetter now as we get ready for the finals of the weekend. Josh Johnson and Zachary Graybeal for all the marbles here in Butler. All right, one of them got into the barrel, but I don't think it's going to be a DQ as they work their way around. Oh, I thought we were going to have another DQ, and I thought it was going to be Graybeal. Of all people, shouldn't have made that mistake. He is absolutely pushing this truck right now. Johnson trying to cut inside. Couldn't hang on to it. Josh Johnson picks up the second win of the weekend here with the Overdrive Outlaw Tough Truck Racing action. Josh Johnson will be your Show 2 champion here in round 7 with the Overdrive Monster Trucks. The Overdrive Outlaws getting the fans on their feet and just now getting them ready for Monster Truck Freestyle. When we come back to Butler, Pennsylvania, we will bring the monsters back to the track. Do not go away.
The world-famous C60 Cyclops. The infamous Dodge Carryall, unnamed and untamed. Get yourself a one-of-a-kind toy of a Mudbogger turned monster truck at freedomracingnt.com.
We are back on a beautiful night in western Pennsylvania, about 40 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. Here's the sunsets behind the grandstands. We get ready for Overdrive Monster Trucks Freestyle action. Here comes Bucket, and they call Bucket Kyle Seesaw. And Donnie Hebert's Aftershock chassis, originally built by Jim Kohler. And Team Scream, solid piece of equipment, big cubic inches in the back of it, up over 580 cubic inches, I do believe. See what he's got. The multicolored Chevrolet out of New England. Again, a guy getting used to being at the wheel of one of these machines really come around again, leaps and bounds from the first time he saw it. Just seems so much more comfortable behind the wheel of one of these big trucks. May make a short and sweet run here, I do have a feeling. Wants to really give these fans some moves. He did right now, a nice hit, but wants to make sure he puts it in the trailer at the end of the night. And again, he just gets used to driving one of these trucks on the regular. Brings it to a stop right there. Nicely done for Kyle Seasock, opening things up. Not going to be a championship level run, but nothing to be ashamed of. Again, early in his monster truck driving career. Again, not new to monster trucks. He's been around them forever. Crewed for a myriad of different teams, including Butler's Motorsports and, of course, Jamie Garner and John Zimmer Jr. over the years. A score of 15 to kick off our Overdrive Monster Trucks Freestyle. Up next, Cliff Fowl and the Virginia Giant out of Fairfax, Virginia. And if you're new to this motorsport, you see the lights up in the windshield. You'll sometimes see a yellow light on the left side of the windshield or a red light on the right side of the windshield. Those are called lane lights, and they indicate what lane your truck is tuned to, or the remote ignition interrupter, which is a device that allows the track officials to actually shut the trucks down remotely were the driver to become incapacitated, the throttle hang up, fire, any number of emergencies. But it has become one of the most, if not the most, valuable piece of safety equipment on these trucks over the years. And Cliff Fowl now whipping it into a donut down there. He found that nice loose soil down there just a little bit north of the grass, and using it to his advantage to cut out some awesome high-speed donuts. Giving the fans a show. We know this truck can get some big-time air, and I've said it before about Cliff, but there were naysayers, really, when he took over the wheel of Virginia Giant. This is just one of those names that elicits a certain fan base that dates back to the infancy of this sport, and to see Cliff really prove that he belongs behind the wheel of this truck. He is that crafty kind of driver. He gets this. He understands what is needed to run a successful monster truck team, and he is doing it as he drifts out. By the way, I see peeking out of the trailer down there, I believe that's Preston Perez's wife and child hanging out right there watching the action from the safety of the pit area, but they're getting a bit of a show in the comfort of living quarters of that trailer back there. And to see Brittany and the kid out here enjoying the action with the rest of the crew, and Cliff Fowl laying down a marathon run here in the Virginia Giant. Definitely not disappointing, getting that big hang time, those high-speed donuts. Virginia Giant wrapping it up here in front of the crowd with a solid run. We'll see if he can knock down the 15. I'm sure he did. And again, that's not taking anything away from Kyle Seasock. It's just, you know, seat time, all important, and seat time in a truck that is all yours versus seat time in a truck that belongs to somebody else. It does change the driving style, it changes the mindset, it changes the comfort level. And Cliff Fowl definitely showing a lot of comfort now behind the wheel of what is just one of the most legendary names in the sport, and it's great to see him out here turning on the crowd. A score of 19 for the Virginia Giant. Up next, as the lights come on top of the tow truck, J.R. Seasock, your racing champion, ready to roll out. That thing looks so cool in the darkness. And I mentioned before that JR's got some big plans for 2024. We're not going to quite say what they are, but he's got some things on the horizon for this namesake and the big tow truck. Playing Hookie name out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. By the way, he lives just a couple miles away from the crew chief of the Toxic Camp, that being Kevin Rico, who we'd like to thank again for getting us through a treacherous weekend in Xenia, Ohio. Nothing to do with the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour, but camera crew had a little bit of a highway accident on the way to the show. And for the second time this year, it was none other than Kevin Rico came to pick us up off the side of the highway. So, again, a big thanks to Rico Enterprises for doing that. Now, as J.R. Seasock, one of the namesakes and soon-to-be legends of the Pennsylvania monster truck scene, making his presence known here in front of the crowd. And, again, a very popular racing victory, as you clearly saw earlier today. Just treating the crowd to some high-momentum freestyle on what is not a very big operating space, but one of the great things about the Overdrive Monster Truck Tour, bringing very safe, very solid monster truck competition to some crowds who may not get a look at it all the time. Nice hit right there for J.R. Seasock in playing Hookie. ShopMetal.com Chevrolet rolling to a stop. Best fans in motorsports coming out to the applause, and had a lot of help from a lot of good people this weekend, including the one and only Eric Tack, who lives in the area, and it's great to see E.T. out here enjoying the action. He's been helping these guys a little bit back there in the pits. I believe he's going to go back there and help them tire down for the night. But J.R. Seasock with a 20 rolling on in front of the crowd with one truck to go, and it's Preston Perez, the glowing lights underneath of Toxic. Nicely done, slapping the front end down. Textbook slap Willie, hence the name. Preston Perez trying to perfect that move, as he has been trying to perfect many in a career that some would call veteran, just in the myriad of names and chassis that he has been behind the wheel of, but still having to prove himself out here. Very, very competent driver, and he'd be lying if he didn't say his ego got the best of him every once in a while, but man, is he showing his wear here this weekend. Absolutely showing that he belongs behind the wheel of a monster truck as he lays it down here in Toxic, and this is the aesthetic pleasure of this machine. Jay Snyder, a veteran of the event lighting industry, making this truck glow in the dark, and really, there are few trucks that look as cool coming out of a dust bank in low light as the Warp Motorsports machines do. This and Illuminator that they run so confidently. Again, a big hit off that center mount for Preston Perez. Again, out of Frederick, Maryland, by way of Spokane, Washington. Cannot forget this guy is out of Washington State. Means a ton to him, and a guy who came up with a lot of support from the likes of monster truck industry veterans like Sam Sturgis. Of course, Scott Heaton even getting this guy's name pumped up with some of the biggest crowds that he's ever gotten to perform in front of over the years, and now performing in front of one of the great hometown crowds in this industry here in Butler, Pennsylvania, as he brings the freestyle and the night to an end, much to the delight of the crowd. Absolutely laying it down. Nothing to be disappointed about there. Was it enough to take over the victory and the points? We wait on those points. Perez working his way over to Austin Ashley. We'll see. 22, he doesn't, and he's down trackside with Austin.
As I was saying, you know what? Thank you guys for coming. It's you guys that allow us to do what we can do each and every weekend. I started out as a fan, just like you guys. I've loved this since the very beginning of since I can remember being alive. But you know what? Thank you guys for coming. Buy our merch, support us, because you know what? At the end of the day, that's what allows us to keep doing what we're doing. Thank you.
What an awesome weekend it has been as we wrap up the 2023 season with the Overdrive monster trucks. And I keep mentioning there's a lot of great stuff coming in 2024, not only for the teams here that you've seen tonight, but the Overdrive monster trucks themselves, including the Overdrive Outlaws and a little something we call the Wild Cards. We'll see more of that coming up in 2024, and keep an eye on YouTube for more action with 2024's Overdrive Monster Trucks series. You're not going to want to miss that. Thank you for joining us. A big thanks to the Overdrive Monster Trucks staff and crew, and a big thanks to all the teams here this weekend. We will see you next time.